What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, yesterday we had a strange set of events unfold showing Nintendo being impersonated online along with some other companies that does kind of set up some concerns, we'll say, going into 2023. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about that indie showcase yesterday that Nintendo had, and we'll also be going over a lot of gaming sales that just went live, seemingly leading into Black Friday. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with an announcement from Capcom, as it looks like they are working to bring a new Monster Hunter game to mobile phones. We can see this posted up by Gamatsu, where they say Timi Studio Group and Capcom are co-developing a new Monster Hunter game for mobile. Their announcement says this first-time partnership between Timi and Capcom will combine the experience and strengths of both sides, allowing Monster Hunter to scale to more platforms with an aim to give global hunters experienced or new the freedom to hunt as they desire anytime and anywhere. Obviously, if they're able to pull this off with Monster Hunter on mobile phones, it would be massive for Capcom. We see other titles, like Nintendo has Fire Emblem, and that's done really well in Japan, but Monster Hunter is next level right now, especially after some of their more recent releases with Monster Hunter World and obviously what we've seen recently with Monster Hunter Rise. You have a good Monster Hunter game go to phones with that kind of an audience size and how popular Monster Hunter is along with mobile phone games in Japan. Could make a ton of money for Capcom. I'm curious how they'll go about this, though. Will it lean more into being a menu-based gacha game, or would it be more of an action-focused cell phone game that does have elements of gacha mechanics or maybe even cash shops? There's obviously quite a bit I'm sure they can figure out to monetize in a game like Monster Hunter. Also, we just talked about the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake and how it's been delayed indefinitely, not canceled, fortunately. Well, it appears they were really down to like 0 hour to where they were going to set up its release, and in fact, it was already uploaded to Sony servers. We can see this posted up by Lance McDonald. It says this was actually finished, went gold, went through Sony certification, and was uploaded to the PlayStation Network servers, where some people clever were able to preserve it and even decrypt it using their pre-order encryption keys. I wonder what happened to it, and some even pointed out that trophies were being unlocked for it, so some may even have played the game a bit after they were able to preserve it, and there's a lot of questions around this one, and I am curious to see what that build looked like. I mean, we saw what it looked like in the trailer, but the fact that it was done and seemed to be playable from start to finish, I would be curious to see how much they change in that new version that, well, could be years off. Oh, and we did get a release date now for Tales of Symphonia Remastered. It's coming out the day after its release set for Japan. So it's coming out February 16th in Japan, February 17th everywhere else. And we had a trailer along with some screenshots that were dropped, and the game itself, Tales of Symphonia, is good. I really enjoyed playing it back when it released in the early 2000s on the GameCube. My only issue with this version of the game is it's based on a different version outside of the GameCube, so like the PlayStation 2 or whatnot, and it's 30 frames per second. It's so strange that the GameCube is still the one that runs at 60 FPS. You can still play the game and all of that. It's fine because it is, while it's an action RPG, it's still mostly an RPG. Still, though, it would have been better to obviously have the higher frame rate there, because clearly all of the different systems would be able to run it at 60 FPS. Nonetheless, good game. If you've never played it, I would certainly be checking it out. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo, Valve, and Twitter, which Twitter's been all over the place recently after Elon Musk moved to acquire the company and then taking the entire social media platform private away from the public offering with investors and stocks and all of these things. Has certainly been making a lot of changes in the background very, very quickly. Some of them seem kind of like knee-jerk reactions at times. But one thing that has become very controversial, let's say, is the check mark being something that would be part of Twitter Blue for $8 a month. And it was brought up the idea that people could get the check mark and then maybe impersonate different accounts, but that was shot down with the idea of, well, they have to verify that they are that person before they get the check mark and start posting on Twitter. Well, to me, you can't really count out the internet. Never underestimate what people are able to do online. And in fact, it looks like people did start to test things there on Twitter, and Nintendo was one of the companies that was impersonated. And you can see it here. Yeah, there's Mario. Well, not exactly doing Nintendo-like things. This was posted up by Nintendoofus and had the check mark Nintendo of America, the whole thing. And what was really funny is people at first saw it and said, what is going on? Did Nintendo get hacked? Well, no, this person, what they did was they made their account, they got it verified, and then I guess they changed the Nintendo of America and all of this and started posting. The account was up for, I think, 2 hours at the most, and then it was suspended. That's the idea, is if you do decide to impersonate a well-known account or a public figure, any of this, by paying $8 for a check mark, they will then ban that account. But what was really funny on top of this is someone did the same thing for Valve. And I will tell you this, someone shared this with me that I know, thinking it was real. I mean, look, Valve Software says Twitter Blue is a problem. Misinformation is so easy to spread, and the damage it can cause can have a real impact on people, much more of an impact than a fake game announcement. You now own a massive platform, and this is what you choose to do with it. Do better. I guess this was just kind of made to point out that, hey, it's pretty easy to impersonate different accounts if you want, and I guess if you're able to pay $8. Now, the idea of impersonating these different accounts, it's not new. How many times have you seen a fake announcement for a Nintendo Direct on Twitter, and then it explodes online because people get really excited? They see the name Nintendo of America, they see the little screenshot that's on Photoshop together that says Nintendo Direct in 2 days with the date on there, and then people realize after they've retweeted it or quote tweeted it, oh, this isn't real. And that's without a check mark most times. So now you throw the check mark into the mix, and sure, it'll be harder, I guess, to spot these fake announcements. I guess the thing that people have brought up, and you see it like, oh, be careful with these accounts. Technically, they could contact you on Twitter, I guess, and we've seen with Telegram and probably even in some of the comments below these videos where people say you've won something. Sure, I guess that could happen there, and most likely, Nintendo of America is not going to contact you on Twitter. So I guess keep an eye on these different accounts if that does happen, and just err on the side of it's probably fake. I will say on the corporate side, with all these big companies, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, really within gaming, it would be frustrating for them to have to deal with that. And then advertisers, really even outside of that scope, probably wouldn't want to be associated or next to some of the stuff going on with impersonations and all this on Twitter. And that's the big push now, is to try to figure out how to monetize Twitter. And it doesn't seem like something that's going to be very easy to do in a meaningful way. But they have worked to suspend these different accounts, and they are obviously doing a lot of changes in the background very quickly. So hey, hopefully they're able to figure it out before the whole website just explodes. Next up, let's talk about that Nintendo Indie Direct. It's about 25 minutes or so, and they announced a lot of games. My only issue was they weren't really many games that were for me until the end, and that really is what saved the whole thing. I sat through about 23 minutes of just, yeah, I mean, I guess it's certainly an interesting looking game, to finally get to that last 2 minutes or so, and then it was all worth it. We'll get to that. First, though, let's start from the top. We're going to work down all the different games and when they're supposed to be coming out, with either release windows or entire release dates. We'll start here with Rogue Legacy 2. That's out now, and Rogue Legacy 2 is a highly rated game. It's an awesome roguelite. I completely recommend checking that one out. Venba, Spring 2023. A Little to the Left, that one's out now. Blanc, that's February 14th. Have a Nice Death, February 22nd. Once Upon a Jester, out now. Aka, December 15th, Botany Manor 2023, Goodbye World later this month, Dordogne, that's Spring 2023, A Space for the Unbound, January 19th, Coffee Talk Episode 2, Spring 2023, Oni Road to the Mightiest Oni, March 9th, Desta, The Memories Between, early 2023, Pepper Grinder, that one looked kind of cool too, 2023, Inscription, another highly rated game there, December 1st, Wobble Dogs, that's November 17th, Wrestle Quest, which looks really, every time I see this game, it looks better and better. It's a wrestling RPG. May 2023. I will be looking more into that as we get closer to its release next year. Storyteller, March 23rd. Curse of the Sea Rats, early 2023. World of Horror, summer 2023. And then the big closeout, the one I was really excited, Sports Story, is coming out in 1 month. They have it set currently for December, so we're waiting for the exact release date, but the fact that it is that close is exciting. The only way it could have been any better is if it just shadow dropped, although I am playing God of War right now, and God of War is pretty good, so that would be tough to then have Sports Story drop right into the eShop, and I'm like, well, I'm trying to get through God of War right now. And they also put the page up here so you can go through the different features and what they have for Sports Story. Raise your sporting rank to unlock new and varied activities like BMX, mini golf, cricket, volleyball, fishing, and more. They showed you going through dungeons, I guess kind of like a rune factory type thing. I mean, there is a lot going on here, traveling around through trains, helicopters, and a houseboat. So, like I said, it seems like this is going to lean more into the adventure side of things as opposed to just being like for golf, which Golf Story kind of had that as well, but this seems like it's going full on like RPG style, and then there's also certain activities and sports you can do. And along with the Super Nintendo-like aesthetics, I'm sold on this one. Sidebar did an awesome job with Golf Story and seemed like they had many more ideas outside of it just being a golf game, so I'm excited to see what kind of interesting ideas and quirky quests and all kinds of stuff they have here, and don't have to wait much longer. That's next month. Otherwise, though, the presentation was okay. A lot of indie games that maybe just weren't really up my alley. That's all I can say about that. But having something like Sports Story finally get that release window and it being a month away was worth at least hanging out for about 20 minutes. Next up, let's talk about PlayStation Plus games for the month of November. This would be for the extra and premium tier, which the premium tier, from what I can tell, is mostly just those Ratchet and Clank games that we already went over, all PS3 titles, all streaming. So I'm hoping they surprise us here soon with some sort of PlayStation announcement for the PS1, PS2, or PSP. Maybe that Siphon Filter 3 game that got rated, but I guess we'll see there. But for the extras and technically premium tier, we can see this posted up over on PlayStation Blog. Starting at the top, The Elder Scrolls Skyrim Special Edition, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege, Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 and 2.5 Remix, as well as the 2.8 Final Chapter, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory. So a whole lot of Kingdom Hearts games going into the service. Oddworld Soulstorm Enhanced Edition, Tom Clancy's The Division 2, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Chorus, What Remains of Edith Finch, The Gardens Between, Earth Defense Force, World Brothers, Earth Defense Force, Iron Rain, and then one Chambara Origin. So looking at this, the PlayStation Plus Extras tier continues to be the best value at this time. Better than Essential, obviously missing out on some of the retro games that Sony themselves seem to just be forgetting about, and that's kind of where I'd sit right now, because even if you have the extra tier and something is dropped in the premium that you want, they're adding like one, maybe two PlayStation 1 PSP games in there, and they haven't really touched PS2 at all. So if that's the case, if one pops up that you really want, you can just buy it separately and just remain on that extras tier. That way you're not hanging out on premium, just hoping, which is what we've all mostly been doing since they dropped this service. So I hope Sony can get on the ball here with that PlayStation Plus premium tier, because right now it seems like the only tier that they're really investing in is extras, which, yeah, at this point, that's the one to get. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a bunch of holiday sales that just went live ahead of Black Friday, which typically kicks off the holiday shopping season as we head towards the end of December. Let's head over here, though, starting with Amazon. We talked previously how they had a buy two, get the third free sale that went live. It got pulled down. Now it's back up. We can see this over on their website, and they have newer titles even than Target, like Madden 23 is in there, Mario Rabbids Sparks Hope, Call of Duty MW2, but even Harvestella, which just came out. That is in the category here for buy two, get the third free, so it might be a good one to drop in there. The Cowabunga Collection, It Takes Two on the Switch. Again, another one that just recently released. Of course, NBA 2K23, the physical copy there for Stray, Sonic Colors, WWE 2K22, Elden Ring, No Man's Sky on the Switch, Lego Brawls, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, Star Ocean, The Divine Force, Nier Automata on the Switch, the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy, NHL 23, Kena Bridge of Spirits, The Quarry. I mean, the list goes on and on and on here. There are a lot of newer titles that you can grab 3 of and just get one of them for free. I also noticed that we are starting to get some early looks at what GameStop will be doing here. Wario64 posted up some of the circular ads, I guess, that's going to be distributed here pretty soon, which the front page has things like The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD at $39, which, as we know with Nintendo, that's a steal apparently. Call of Duty Vanguard at $20, Forza Horizon 5, $34, Halo Infinite at $20, Dying Light 2 at $29. The one that's interesting though, we do have a system that's on sale, the Xbox Series S. $250. They have that starting on the 17th of November. They also appear to have a couple of different categories, $10, $15, and $20 games. They have some listed here. However, as we've seen in the past, typically they'll just have a bunch of other games that are in that category that are not here in the circular ads. So we'll have to keep an eye to see if we get an entire list, maybe a day or two before these go live. And then they also have Pokemon games here that are marked down with Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Shining Pearl and Brilliant Diamond, and also Pokemon Sword. And then finally, we have Gamefly, who actually run some pretty good sales. And when you order from them, you'll get the disc or cartridge along with the box and the cover art and all these different things. And typically they're in pretty good shape. And look, we can see this here. Saints Row is down to $25 on the PS5. Saints Row is a game that you want to look for a discount if you're even curious about it. That's already pretty low considering it's not that old. Destroy All Humans 2 though, Reprobed, that is a fun game, and I think that's worth picking up there at $20. For the Switch, probably the best deal they have is Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes at $40, and then Lego Brawls, that one's $18. And then over on the Xbox Series X, they do have Soul Hackers at $30. Guardians of the Galaxy is $10. I know it went into like Game Pass and all this, but having that physical copy is nice. A few others, they have Evil Dead the game at $13, Thymesia at $15, and Sniper Elite 5 at $18. So certainly a lot of deals that are starting to go live now ahead of the big holiday shopping season. Might not be a bad idea to knock out some of that Christmas list with these deals. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, give the Nintendo Indie Direct a grade. 41% voted for C, and that's kind of where I'm falling for this one. It was, again, it's nothing I'm really going to remember outside of Sports Story, but there were a lot of games, and I'm sure there were some that people were pretty happy to see there, or just at least interested in. And then 25% voted for F, which I saw a lot of that too. You can ask RGT about that one. 17% voted B, 12% on D, and then 5% on A. Like I said, it's nothing too memorable for me, and the biggest thing I'm taking away from this Indie Direct is certainly Sports Story. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Howard saying, I'm very excited about the DNA deal that Nintendo has announced. It is high time that Nintendo brought their account experience into the modern age with user experience features that Sony and especially Xbox have been utilizing for years. So we're going to have the Q&A translated over officially to English that Nintendo held with investors, and then they will release it on their website. And in there, according to DeepL translation, they did have someone ask about that account system and going to the next generation that they have planned out. And it sounds like that will be key for backwards compatibility and probably what part of this DNA deal is. So good news there, but we do have to see the official translation to see exactly what they responded with. Which, by the way, that Q&A from investors, a lot of questions and interest in what Nintendo has planned for the follow-up or successor to the Switch, or even what they have planned to maybe extend this generation. So stay tuned for the translations on that one. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. There was these larger accounts being impersonated like immediately on Twitter after the checkmark purchase went live. Do you think we're going to see some wild and random Nintendo Direct announcements pop up? And then also, what about that Indie Direct? What was your favorite thing there? What letter grade would you put on it? And then all of these deals that are starting to pop up for gaming, what exactly caught your eye? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.